Most of the marketing spent in Web3 is completely wasted. I've seen projects raise as little as $50,000 and as much as tens of millions of dollars with the exact same budget. And in this video, I'm going to break down the key differences between those projects that fail at TGE and those that raise tens of millions of dollars. And to prove that this works, I'm going to walk you through a case study for one of our most recent clients called Stable, which they reached over $5 billion in FTV and got listed on all the top tier 1 exchanges. And this is the exact framework that separates the 1% of successful TGEs from the 99% that actually fail. So diving straight into it, the brutal reality of TGE failures is that most projects believe that they can launch a token, they can have some KOLs go out there, talk about it, and basically just watch the money pour in as they raise millions and millions of dollars and have millions of dollars in trading volume. But the truth is that without the right foundation, you're essentially lighting up your marketing spend on fire at this point. I've worked with over 60 plus projects and I've talked with hundreds of different founders, and I see this mistake happen over and over again. And that is one of the core reasons that I wanted to make this video, but I identify 3 of the key things and exact systems that allow projects to successfully avoid these mistakes that most projects are making. I just basically take their marketing spend and multiply it times 10, basically just following this exact framework. Now, diving straight into it, phase number 1 would be the foundation, right? So building token demand before the token even launches, right? 90% of projects focus on token mechanics, but ignore creating genuine demand before launch, meaning that there's actually no reason for people to buy the token. And the most successful projects that not only we've worked with, but that we've seen on the market are those that follow the product first token strategy. What I mean by this is that you have a product, and in order to fuel that product, people need to buy the token so that you can have demand for the token, right? So all the big successes had one thing in common: functional products people actually wanted to see. Now, the framework for this is very simple. You need a product that gives people social proof. We ran this campaign multiple times and it has never failed us. An example would be Kaito's TGE success. They basically reward creators who are using their platform. In return, basically adds value to their token, right? So token had real utility tied to the real user behavior. Now, step 2 would be identify your ICP and understand their deeper motivation. You don't want just crypto degens, right? You need people who will actually hold your token and buy it and hold it and utilize it over the long term. One critical mistake that most people see is they skip the token mechanics without building an underlying demand engine, meaning you have this whole token built out, but the truth is that there's no demand for it. So you can have everything that you would dream of for a token perspective, but if there's no demand for it, you're basically going to fail. So foundation, or phase number 1, would be just how do we build the foundation? Keeping it very simple is how do we build a product that people care about and attach demand for the token, right? Phase 2 would be the attention engine, right? So this is basically strategic TGE marketing. TGE marketing is completely different from NFTs or general Web3 marketing. The reason being is you're not just selling a product, you're selling a vision for future value and utility, which completely requires a different approach. Now, when you're selling an NFT collection and when you're marketing a product, you have something for people to look forward to right away. Now, when you have a token, there is a bigger vision to the token than just what's live within the first couple of weeks. The reason that most projects fail is because they're not able to let the vision be clear and understand it by driving the right narratives with the creators. Now, I want to walk you through the TGE marketing flywheel, which is a flywheel that we follow, which just follows 3 steps, which has worked many, many times. Now, step 1, you have founder-led token evangelism, meaning that the most successful token launches have founders who become the face of the token's vision. Think of Luca Nets, think of Doodles, think of all these big companies. They all have a founder who have led the vision and have built a cult-like community behind them. I'm not just talking about features here, by the way. We're talking about selling a future where tokens become essential to the infrastructure of the project, right? Now, step 2 would be strategic ecosystem partnerships. This is one of the most crucial parts for TGEs because you need partnerships that give token immediate utility and credibility, right? When you look at, again, the biggest companies in the world, crypto-wise, they all have big partners that people can utilize their token with and can basically just go back and forth with it. Now, think of Avalanche, Solana, Base. These things signal real use cases from them day one, but also they signal credibility, right? When you attach your name with these big companies, you build credibility, you build trust, which then allows people to believe in the vision more and allows people to want to buy into your token. Now, number 3 is community-driven token farming. So this is a bit of a funny one because most projects do this wrong. So I want to walk you through how to do it correctly. Before TGE, you need systems letting people earn or qualify for token. Meaning, think of Kaito as an example. Think of some InfoFi platforms, Galaxy, some of these questing platforms. If you don't have the right incentive and you don't have the right systems, most people will actually not care. At the end of the day, we're in crypto. Most people want some form of incentive for their time And this is where this part comes in, right? So again, think of social-fi campaigns, testnet participation, community quests, all these things that are community engaging, which then you can reward the people with. Absolutely recommend it. Key thing here is make people feel that they're earning something valuable, right? So you don't just want to assign people just random tokens or a very small amount of tokens or just merge, things like that. You want them to feel like they have something tangible. Right, so that's basically how we tend to build the Web3 or the TGE marketing flywheel, which I'm going to dive into in a little bit further. And phase number 3 is the conversion system, right? So this separates projects that raise millions of dollars from those that barely hit soft-capped. The reason being is that most projects you just can't convert, right? So most projects understand how to get attention, but they don't understand how to convert into actual users, community members, and token buyers. The most successful TGEs create token launch events that feel inevitable and exclusive. Think of some of the biggest launches where projects tend to have, backdoor deals where the community gets access to firsthand access to these tokens. This is what you want to build in this phase. So it's kind of walking you through how you do this from a marketing perspective. We call it the 4-week TGE launch sequence. Week 4 before launch, you want to announce the tokenomics and utility of your product. This doesn't just tell people, hey, we have this token, but it actually gives them a vision to attach to that token. Week 3, you want to activate KOLs, one, who align with your brand, and 2, who can share the vision in a clear, basically, sentiment. Week 4, you want to launch the final community campaigns. And then week 1, you have your TGE. And you just build this massive flywheel of multiple marketing activities that are building up all to TGE. It sounds simpler than it actually is, but this is actually what works. You want people to understand the value of your product. You want creators to share the vision that you have. You want your community to feel engaged. And then you just want to drive all that attention to week 1, which would be your TGE event. Those were basically the 3 phases that we follow to avoid TGEs that fail and build TGEs that succeed. Now, to just kind of put it all together for you, I want to walk you through a quick case study from one of our recent clients called Stable. For context, Stable is a project that was founded by one of the original co-founders of Tether. They have a solid technology. They have big partners. They have big names. So they have the foundation built. Our job was to basically come in and amplify this vision, right? So to summarize the campaign for you guys, we had phase 1, again, which was foundational building. So we first needed to engineer the narrative we want to lead with. In this case, we have the co-founder of Tether, basically being the CEO here in backing us. Then we identified the ICP of serious DeFi users, which we wanted to tap into, which then allowed us to pick the right creators to work with. And on the background, the team was closing some of the biggest partnerships in the world, which allowed us to basically amplify these things even further. So that's phase 1, foundational build. Phase 2 was like, okay, how do we get attention? So we built the narrative around the partnerships team, closing these big deals, as well as the co-founder of Tether backing this, right? So we defined the narrative here, and we just basically lean into that as much as possible. They secured strategic partnership with major DeFi protocols for post-launch integration, and we picked the best creators that fit their narratives and their niche to push this forward even further. And then basically for TGE execution, we controlled the narrative throughout launch, meaning that all the creators talked about what we wanted them to talk about, and we sort of had a hold on what was being talked about in the timeline. We had over 60 creators activated, talking about these guys, talking about their token, the co-founder of Tether, partnerships, all these big things to kind of align it all together. And then the team was actively supporting and answering questions, which allowed us to basically use all this demand we were driving and basically just turn it into a more tangible thing. The results, these guys got listed on top tier 1 exchanges. The token went all the way up to $5 billion in FTV, and the token maintained a strong price and reached all the way up 1,400% in profit for some of the investors and from TGE launch price. So it was an amazing launch. They had all the right systems in the foundation. Our goal was to just come in and amplify that even further. Now, to put it all together for you here, I want to walk you through 2 more things. So the 3 critical mistakes that kill TGEs and the secrets that most TGEs actually miss. So mistake number 1 would be focusing on token price instead of token utility. I see this happen many, many times. But if people can't understand why they need your token beyond speculation, it will fail. It always works like that. Mistake number 2 is treating community like exit liquidity instead of long-term stakeholders. The most successful projects make community feel like partners, not customers. This is something that Pudgy was really good at, which was building a community of people who actually rallied behind the brand, share the vision, and basically just were sold into the token and the founder's vision. Mistake number 3 is having no post-launch plan. I can't stress this enough, but I've seen too many projects launch TGE and just have nothing planned afterwards. And the most successful projects that I've seen have not only a detailed roadmap, but they have a direct next step after TGE that keeps people engaged and keeps people happy, right? Those are 3 core mistakes that I see people do. Now, diving into the 3 secrets that most projects in TGEs miss is we treat TGEs as the beginning of the token journey, not the end. This is something that Stable did really well, which was the day of TGE, the founder was really active and was sharing and jumping on spaces, answering questions, letting people know that this is just the beginning. And this is how most people should actually see it. Now, number 2 is there's no one fix all solution. So if you want to win, you must get attention and not depend on one activation to build demand. Meaning that most projects that I speak with, they believe that if they activated just a handful of KOLs, they're going to get to $100 million in valuation plus. And the truth is that marketing is not a system of one thing. It's a system of multiple things that sort of compile into this big machine that just builds attention at any point. So there's no one fix all solution. And most projects need to understand this. And last is there must be something big. The goal after launch is to maintain attention. And for this, you need big partnerships, big announcements that come right after. How I would think of it is the day of TGE, I would have a timeline planned for the next 2 to 3 weeks of just big partnerships, big announcements, which will maintain the attention and maintain the token price either stable or going up. Now, I can't stress this enough. I think I've seen too many projects fail at this. And I hope this video was able to provide you guys some form of value. I've shared with you guys the exact 3 frameworks that's helped multiple projects in Web3 raise millions of dollars through successful TGEs. But the reality is that knowing the framework, executing it flawlessly, are 2 completely different things. So if you're a Web3 founder preparing for a TGE and you want to avoid these failures, right? I just want to invite you to book a call with me and my team. And I want to dive into what your plan is, how your TGE is prepared, and see if there's any fixes that we can implement right away and provide some feedback on. The link's down below. I hope you guys found some value in this video, and I hope to see you guys on the next one. Peace.